Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I guess you can summon from the title of the video and the thumbnail that I'm going to be talking about loss. Today is July 5th and 5 years to the date I took my father off of life support and he went home to be with the Lord. And I really debated with myself on whether or not I really wanted to make this video because loss is a very personal thing and we all grieve in our own personal way. But I really just felt like, you know, it's 5 years out and I still remember that day, July 5th, like it really and truly was yesterday. And yes, I can sometimes still tap into those kind of emotions with loss and passing bring on, but I'm in such a better place. So this video, I really want to serve two purposes, and that is to just really, if I can use the word, encourage those who are going through loss, and also just to remember my father. It's as simple as that. It's been 5 years, but there isn't a day that doesn't go by that I don't think about him. And I think one of the topics I guess I can deal with first with loss is one of the things I think that people who lose people who are very close to them, whether it be a spouse or a child or a parent, grandparent, friend, whatever it may be, is that as the years do go by, you worry that you're going to forget them, or you're going to, and in that you're going to lose them. I hope that makes sense. And sometimes it can bring on anxiety or fear because you don't want to ever dishonor someone that you love and that you really care about by forgetting them. And I'm only 5 years out since the passing of my father. And I'm sure there's people out there that are watching this video who lost somebody and it's been a lot longer. And maybe they can relate to this. It is a fear, but I don't think it's possible. When you love someone in whatever kind of relationship that be, whether it be intimate or a family, you know, you're not intimate with your mother, your father, your cousin, your brother, you know, whatever that may be, but you love them in a different way and it's just as strong as it is with someone you're intimate with. I don't think it's possible to ever to forget them. But little things start to bother you, like it's been 5 years and I honestly sometimes forget what my dad's voice sounds like. And there are videos and things where we recorded him and, you know, family videos and things. But at the same time, I don't want to watch them. I just think it would be so much harder to watch those videos than to just kind of search my memory and my heart and try to find his voice within me. I hope that doesn't sound weird or creepy, but I just feel like even 5 years later, I'm not ready to watch videos of my dad. I'm just not in that place. It took me quite some time just to put pictures out of him. I had to get into a well place, if that makes sense. And I don't want to make this video sad or morbid because it's not sad. I want to make this video honoring my father and just letting those that are dealing with loss, whether, and I shouldn't even say dealing, it's more like coping with loss, whether it happened yesterday, 5 years, 10 years, 25 years, whatever the case may be, loss is loss. And even though in the moment I can tap into those feelings so easily of when he first passed, of feeling like I would never smile again, that heavy feeling of disbelief, of unbelief, of oh my God, I cannot believe this happened, of is this real? Am I ever going to wake up? My biggest thing that I struggled with when I took my father off of the machine, two big things, was I was full of regret, and I had to deal with quite some time with that feeling like I killed my dad because I made the decision to take him off the machines. And it took me quite some time to come to a place where I just accepted that was the best thing for him. It really and truly was. But it didn't feel like that in the moment. It did not feel like that in the moment at all. And he was a young man. He was only 52. And he had a whole life ahead of him. So it took some time to come to terms with those things. But the regret thing, I still have regrets. I still have regrets that I didn't do this with him, or I didn't do that with him, or I should have said what I wanted to say and I don't have the chance now to do that, or I should have told him more that I loved him, or I should have done this and I should have done that, and maybe I should have gave it another day before we signed the papers. Maybe I should have done this. Maybe I should have allowed him to go to the nursing home. Maybe he would have recovered if he had a heart transplant. Would he have been able to survive long enough to have a heart transplant? The whole thing. Like, it can be so overwhelming. So my heart goes out to those who, and every loss is different. Not everybody has to take somebody off a machine. Sometimes it's instant. Sometimes you know it's coming because they're sick or they're elderly, they're older. You know, it doesn't matter. A loss is a loss. And I just want to say that you're not alone in those thoughts or that pain or that overbearing sense of why did this have to happen? Why did it have to happen that way? Some people have to watch their loved ones suffer, and I definitely had to watch my dad suffer, and that is why I made the choice that I did. But whatever the case may be, I just want to let people know that they're not alone. They're not alone in their coping, and I want to tell those who are kind of fresh into coping with loss, with mourning, if you're having those overbearing feelings of, will I ever smile again? Will anything ever be happy again? Or will I always have this clouded thing of death and loss kind of hovering over me? Because that's what it felt like. It felt like whatever that is that you experience when a loved one passes away, and it is so hard and you're so grief-stricken, there's like this heaviness that comes on you. And even though you're trying, even a few months out, and you're trying to live everyday life and you're trying to function, it still feels like there's this cloud of heaviness, this cloud of something over you, and you're like, is this ever gonna go away? Or sometimes it'll scare you and you'll be like, I'm wishing this away, and if I wish it away, am I forgetting my father? Am I forgetting my loved one? Well, 5 years out, I want to tell you that does go away. That saying that says time does heal, it is the truth. Time really does heal. You will process the death of your loved one. You will smile again. You will laugh again. You will experience true joy. And sometimes when that started to happen in the beginning, that was like 2 years out, I would laugh and smile and actually have a really good time. And then that night when I would go to bed, or just later that day, I would feel guilty. I would feel guilty. I would feel guilty that I laughed and that I had a good time. And it was almost like, am I allowed to laugh? Am I allowed to have a good time and enjoy something even though he's not here? And when you come to that place and you give yourself permission, like, yes, and I know my loved one loved me enough to not want me to stay in this dark place. They would want me to enjoy life. They would want me to be happy. Things start to get better. Things start to get better. So if this is something that you're dealing with that's kind of fresh, that's kind of new, a few months in, a year in, whatever it may be, a few days, it does get better. Please understand, it does get better. And I promise you, you will smile, you will laugh, you will experience true joy. That heavy thing that comes with loss, it will go away. And it is okay to laugh. It is okay to smile. It is okay to really enjoy yourself despite your loved one's passing. It is okay to do those things. Don't beat yourself up. And as far as the regrets, I think every person experiences regrets when a loved one passes, because even if you had the best of best relationship with whomever that is, it still feels like there was not enough time. So that's a regret just in itself, let alone other things. Those regrets do go away, because just in the middle of the night, certain things, memories, talking to other loved ones who loved that person who passed away, sharing memories, honoring them. When you do things like that, it brings healing to the regrets. It really, really does. It brings healing to those things. And we honored my dad in many ways. A year after he passed, my dad was an organ donor, and he donated everything that he could. His eyes, his arms, his ears, his legs, things like that. So CORE, which is Pennsylvania's organ donation center, honored him, and that was a beautiful ceremony. That was like the funeral we never really had for my dad, because my dad was cremated, and we had a very small service in my church because it was so sudden and like, holy moly. So the CORE ceremony was like, whew. And that, they released doves, the whole thing. It was so beautiful. And that was really healing. And I don't want to go into the big, long, drawn-out story of the whole thing that happened to my father, but July 3rd is the day that he was at the movie theater, which happens to be our favorite movie theater in Greensburg that we go to very often. He was with someone there, and he said he couldn't breathe, and he went out into the lobby, and some stuff happened, but he collapsed in that lobby. And he did die in that lobby, and they worked on him for 45 minutes and got him back, and then put him in the ambulance and took him to the hospital. He died again on the way. They put him on life support, and then July 5th we let him go. Just some things in there. But it took us a full year to go back to that movie theater, because a lot of stuff, they evacuated the whole theater because they didn't know what happened. They thought something was released. It was big dramatic thing. But it took us a year, my family and I, to go back to that theater. And the day that we did, I'm hoping that I could pull some videos together and kind of do a remembrance thing of my dad at the end of this video. You're going to see some of that. We all bought balloons, and I had shirts all made with my dad's picture on it and everything. And we went to that theater, and we did a big balloon release in his honor before we went to go see the movie that he had said the year before he couldn't wait to see from the last time we were at the movie theater with him, and it was a preview. And the theater honored us. They let us in free, and the whole thing. The theater went all out, because the guy that was with my dad when this happened, when I called the theater to ask him if we could do a balloon release there, he happened to be the guy that answered the phone, and he remembered. So it turned out to be a beautiful day. And then every year since, we try to do something very special to honor my father. This year I think we're going to do lantern releases. And every year on his birthday I make his favorite cake, and I take his urn down because he was cremated, and we light candles, and I make him a cake, and just things like that. They bring healing. So don't ever feel silly or weird in honoring your past loved one in ways that bring you comfort. My dad loved pineapple upside down cake, so for his birthday every year I make one in his honor. You know, when we go to the movie theater, there isn't not a second that I don't walk into that theater, and I go there often because I'm a big movie buff and I love that theater, that I don't walk in there and I don't think about him. And sometimes this may sound really weird, but I actually feel close to him when I'm there. But it took me a while to get to that place, but I'm in that place. And now when I go there and I think about it, it doesn't bring me sadness, or it doesn't make me feel awful. It actually makes me smile. It really does. So I don't want to go on and on and on. I don't want to make this video long or sappy and make it all about me, because it isn't all about me. I just want to put it out there for people who are grieving. I don't think grieving ever stops. That's just my personal opinion. But you learn to cope with it in different ways. And it is okay to be happy and to smile and continue to live your life, no matter the loved one that passed. And you will do those things. You will do those things. And it's okay to be sad on certain days. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to cry 15 years after somebody passed away on the day that they passed away, or whatever the case may be. Just give yourself permission to grieve the way you need to grieve, because no matter what you do, it is personal, and in between you and that person who passed, and how you choose to grieve that person, that's up to you. And how you honor them, that's up to you. And nobody should make you feel guilty about those things. And nobody should make you feel silly, or however it may be. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is like the last little thing I'm going to share with you, and then I'm going to go. So I said I really debated on making this video because it is a very personal thing, and you know, I don't even know if this would be even something somebody would want to watch, but I feel like I'm not the only one who's going through stuff like this. But I've learned in my 5 years, my dad's only been gone for 5 years, that when I do grieve and I do have moments, to keep them to myself. Because people who have not lost a parent, just like I would not understand what it would be like to lose a child, I understand the grief, the pain, that horrible ugh, but I don't understand the depth of it to lose a child. But I understand what it is to bury a parent. If someone doesn't understand that, they can't relate to you, and they may feel that your sadness is like, oh God, it's been 5 years. Is she crying again? Or is she ever going to get over this? Or she really baked her dad a cake. Does she not understand that her dad is gone and he can't eat the cake? You might be like, well, you're on YouTube sharing it with the world. I'm just saying, those are some of the things that I do to cope. I believe cope is a good word with grief. And how I choose to do it is how I choose to do it. And I've just learned that some family and some friends don't understand how I choose to cope with the grief of my father's death. Whereas maybe they cope without no pictures of him out, no mention of him. You know, some people deal with that way. Just, I can't look at pictures, I can't talk about him, they just gotta, and I have to respect that. But in my personal opinion, I feel like that's horrible. But I have to respect that. So I've learned to just keep the way I grieve. And listen, sometimes it changes. Sometimes what I do this year is completely different from the next year. That's just how grief is. It's how you cope. Coping, and it's just how you cope. So my suggestion though is just keep how you cope with your grief to yourself. If you decide to get together with family members and do something as a group like we did when we honored a year to the date, which was July 3rd, that thing happened at the movie theater. We went and we brought balloons and we wrote my dad a letter and we tied them to the bottom of the balloons and we all released them together. That was so healing, and all of us did that together. My sister, my kids, my husband, my mom, we all did that together, and that was so healing. And then we do things individually. I just wanted to say, give yourself permission to do that. And if you do those things and people start giving you flack, just keep how you cope with your grief to yourself. It's okay. It's okay. And I just want to say too, because I know that in my grief, when it first happened, I felt so alone. It hurt so bad. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it through. I didn't even know how I was going to take my next breath. And I felt so alone. But what I learned was, in hindsight, looking back, I wasn't alone. I wasn't alone. And I just want to share that with anybody today. Whether it's 15 years, 2 days ago, you're not alone. You're not alone in your grief. The pain will get better. I promise. I promise. Time really does heal. And my heart goes out to your heart in your grief and in your coping with loss. My heart truly does go out to yours. And I just ask that as I celebrate my dad, 5 years to the date of his passing from this life until the next, that you would celebrate it with me and know that even though there's this little tinge of sadness that he's not here, I'm okay. And I am happy. And I know where my dad is. And in his passing, I believe in my heart of hearts, with all that is in me, that it wasn't goodbye. It was just see you later. And that helps. I will see my dad again. It was just see you later. And I'm not sure if this video will help anybody or not. This video may have been very, very selfish in the fact that it may have just been for me. And if that is the case, I'm truly sorry. I hope it does help somebody who's maybe coping with grief, that you will be okay. Things will get better. Time really does heal, and you're not alone. And it's okay to grieve the way you need to grieve. I give you permission. Now give yourself permission to do it too. And if you guys want to share anything with me, you can leave me comments down below. You can IM me. You can reach me in different ways. And if you need to talk about something that you're going through, or maybe a loss of one of your loved ones, you guys can share that with me if you so choose, if it'll help, if it'll make you feel better. Sometimes talking about your past loved one really helps, and then like I said, other people, they just can't do it. They can't talk about their past loved one. And whatever it is, it's okay. I choose to talk about my dad today. Talking about him today is really helping me. So that's why I said this video may be very selfish. It may be more for me than it is for you. I feel like I'm really honoring my dad today, 5 years to the date, that I'm remembering him, that I'm talking about him. I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to go through a whole bunch of pictures, and I'm hoping to put a little memorial at the end of this video of some of special moments that I shared with him before he passed. And I'm very, very thankful. This is something else that came about in a few years. In the moment, I felt like I didn't have enough time. Now I'm so thankful for the time that I had with him. I miss you more than anything, Dad. And I love you. And I know that you're safe, and I know that you're okay. And I know that I know that I know it wasn't goodbye, it was see you later. And I'll see you soon. I hope you guys are blessed by this video. And I'll be talking to all of you soon. Bye, guys.